the integrity of the series is absolutely paramount. The series has to hold everybody accountable, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the intent. And they've done the right thing, by trying to throw the book at us, and they should. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what the intent was. If you broke a rule, you broke a rule, and you should suffer the consequences. And the series has to uphold that standard. And so it makes me proud that I'm a part of this series that does that. That's a series I want to be a part of. So I think the penalty's fair. It's crushing. I mean, I'm going to look back on it too and say, well, I don't want that win on my books either. I don't want it. I'm glad they're taking it away. If it was tainted, then I don't want to be near it.
Those are the words of Josef Newgarden speaking to the media for the first time since the scandal broke regarding push-to-pass usage at the St. Petersburg Grand Prix, which stripped Josef Newgarden of that win. You'll hear much more from him later on in this video. Most of the talking in this video will be from Josef Newgarden. It's very important that his side of the story is presented to you guys as he wants it presented, and that's why he did a press conference this morning. But I think it's also important to read the statements put out by his Penske Racing teammates, Scott McLaughlin and Will Power. These went out on Twitter just a couple of days ago. First of all, Scott McLaughlin. I was not aware of the situation with the software. In this instance, I used a single, very brief 1.9 second deployment of push-to-pass in a section of the track at the exit of turn 9, where it is typically utilized throughout the race. I hit the button out of habit, but I did not pass any cars, nor did I gain any time advantage. The data which IndyCar has confirms all of this information. While I accept the penalty, I want to be clear that I did not gain any advantage over my competitors. And Will Power. As per the rules, I did not utilize the push-to-pass capabilities during any start or restart during the St. Petersburg race. While I accept the penalty, I want it to be known that I did nothing wrong and followed the rules. And now here's an emotional Josef Newgarden telling his side of the story this morning at Barber Motorsports Park.
I didn't want to put out a statement or try and do an interview over the phone or something like that. I thought it was really important to get in front of everybody and have an opportunity to chat. With regards to the St. Petersburg race ruling, I think at this point it's really important to look at the facts of what happened, and the facts are extremely clear. There's no doubt that we were in breach of the rules at St. Petersburg. I used push to pass at an unauthorized time twice on two different restarts, and there's really nothing else to it other than that those are the rules, and we did not adhere to them. I think it's, for me, what's really important about that too is, there's only one person sitting in the car. It's just me. And so that responsibility and the use of the push to pass in the correct manner falls completely on me. It is my responsibility to know the rules and the regulations at all points and to make sure that I get that right. And with that regard, I failed my team miserably. It's like a complete failure from my side to get that right. It's my job as the leader of the two car to not make mistakes like that. You cannot make a mistake at this level in that situation. There's no room for it. There's no room for that type of mistake anywhere, or certainly not at the top level of motorsports. And I don't want to hide from that. It's, for me, it's an embarrassing situation to have to go through, to see what's transpired. It's demoralizing in a lot of ways. And, there's nothing that I can say that changes, the fact of what happened. I mean, it's pretty clear. So, that's why I say I think the facts are most important right now. I think that's what really matters. I also think the truth is important. And I think that there can be space for both of those things. So, if there's anything that I wanted to come say too, I want to deeply apologize to our fans, our partners, my teammates, the competitors that I race against, anybody that's in our community. I've worked my entire career to hold myself to an incredibly high standard And, clearly I've fallen very short of that in this respect. And, once again, I mean, I can't overstate. It's a difficult thing to wrestle with. It's very, it's a very embarrassing process to go through. And, I hope we can find a way forward after this. I mean, that's really all you can do is try and find a way forward after the fact. So I just wanted to come here and state that. And, I appreciate everybody's time and let me speak. Oh, of course. Yes. No, I mean, I purposely was hitting the button. The tough part is the intent. And I don't think that, intent matters at this point. The facts are, when are you allowed to use push to pass? And the rules state that you're not allowed to use it until the alt-start finish line, and I didn't. So, yeah, it's very easy to tell when you're using the button. I know when I push the button. It's not anything that I would try and hide behind. It's also very obvious when you're using the button. It comes up on my dash. There's onboard cameras. People see the telemetry updates. It's not something that you would hide from, and I'm not trying to hide from it. I know exactly when I push the button. So yeah, it's something you feel every single time. I mean, I don't know how you couldn't. It's a very obvious thing. The tricky thing about this whole situation is I didn't know I did anything wrong until Monday after Long Beach. It's the first time I heard that I broke rules. And I knew if getting to this part was going to be difficult for me. You guys you can call me every name in the book. You can call me incompetent, call me an idiot, call me an asshole, call me, stupid, whatever you want to call me. But I'm not a liar. And the story that I know, which is the truth, is almost too convenient to be believable. And so to answer your question, no, I didn't leave St. Pete thinking we pulled something over on somebody. I didn't know that we did something wrong until this week. And then I've had to wrestle with the fact that, how do you explain a situation to people? I know what happened. I know why it happened. And I don't think it's very believable, even when I try and tell the story back. I don't think any of us believe it'll be believable to somebody, but it's the truth. So no, just to answer your question, I didn't know I did something wrong in St. Pete. And maybe to elaborate on that, because there would be a follow-up, how did you know you didn't do something wrong? The key difference on the 2-car, which is important to understand, is that somehow, some way, we convinced ourselves that there was a rule change to restart specifically with overtake usage. And you say, well, how do you come up with this? This never happened before. The only place that this got introduced was with the thermal exhibition race. It's the only time in my time in IndyCar where we've actually had a legitimate legal change of the push to pass system, where it's going to be operable at a time other than, at the alt start finish line. It was going to be usable in qualifying too. There was a lot of discussion around it, and we somehow genuinely believed and convinced ourselves that at St. Pete, the rule was now you can use it immediately on restarts. You don't have to wait till the alt start finish line. It's going to be available immediately. And I even wanted the team to remind me of this so that I didn't forget. I'm like, well, if I, whenever you get something new as a driver, you're always like, please remind me. It's easy for me to forget this stuff with everything going on inside the car. And I specifically asked for that too. We all knew about that. And so what's the craziest part of the story is the software issue that no one knew about just perpetuated that belief even further. So then you go through St. Pete, you go through thermal where it's an actual change and everybody's using it. And then you go to Long Beach and it's still in the car. And the first time that any of us hear about this software issue or mistake is of warm-up. And the even crazier part of that is, even when you learn about the software issue that no one knew about and it was fixed, I still believed the procedural difference on restarts was in applied for Long Beach. I tried to do the exact same thing leading the race at Long Beach. I even pushed the button. I came over the radio. I said, hey, the overtake's not working correctly. I said it throughout the whole first lap because it wasn't working right. I mean, I don't know how or why in your right mind you would do that. Why would I, did I try and come up with a conspiracy and then cover it's not. The truth is somehow we got that mixed up and it somehow got entangled with the mistake and it's created some ridiculously unbelievable storyline now. But the facts of the matter are I used it illegally. I wasn't allowed to. And, I can't change that. Whatever I say going forward will not change those facts. And, it kills me that it doesn't. I wish I could go back in time and somehow, reverse all this, but I can't. And, I thought about this a lot. I was like, I don't want to put out a statement. Two things matter to me: accountability, and we have to be held accountable for any sort of mistake, whether you meant to do it or not. You got to be held accountable, and the truth matters to me. And today I want to be held accountable for what I did and the actions I took, and I want to tell people the truth. And those are the two things that I wanted to achieve this morning. So, if I do that, I can leave here and I can feel good about anything going forward. Yeah, it's been a weird week, a very weird week. I learned about this on Monday. I stayed in California with my family. We were there till Wednesday. I had a conversation with a couple different people on Monday, which was the first time that I was able to put two and two together. That one, the software issue, was a problem that we didn't know about, and that also we were incorrect. We didn't have the procedure correct on what was allowed and not allowed now on restarts. And it's crazy how this works. When you do something wrong and you didn't know you did something wrong, it doesn't hit you immediately. You get told that and you think, oh wow, that's crazy to hear that this is what's happening. And then you move to Tuesday and it starts to really hit you that you're like, oh, this is a big problem now. This is a really big problem. And then it comes out on Wednesday and, there's a whole different set of emotions that come into play with that, because it's a true reality and it's something you can't control. None of us can control this. None of us can change it. And, it's all, I don't know how to describe it other than that. I've had to, I've looked at everything. I don't know how you can't, I know what's been said. I know how people feel and you just have to, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You just have to live with it. When I learned there was a real issue here, I go, how is this possible? Like who safeguards this stuff? And then I learned after the fact that this has been possible for anybody at any point. So it's also not complex. It's very simple. If you break down exactly what happened, it's extremely simple what happened. And anybody could, it kind of baffled me that anybody could have done that. There was no sort of checks and balance in place. And I'm not trying to point the finger at anybody. It doesn't absolve us from anything. But I was shocked to learn that there was no safeguard in place. It was just that this could have happened at any point and no one knew about it. It's important to state, and I think it's the truth. I don't know that anybody is going to believe what I've told you here today, and that's okay. I mean, I think it's a crazy set of circumstances to try and just reason with. It's certainly not going to come from words. I mean, it's just going to take repetitive action. So that's all you can do is just repetitive action, and hopefully I can stand on that in the future. So however long it takes or how many years, if I'm given the time, I'll just try and earn it through action. We hold ourselves to a really high standard. I mean, everybody knows that. We don't have any room. We have no room to, deviate from that. And so, whether you meant to make a mistake or you just did, it doesn't matter. If it's by accident or by design, it's not acceptable. And so it's hard to wrestle with it, when it happens, regardless of the circumstances. I can't speak on Roger's behalf, but just from my side, yeah, I think we hold ourselves to a really high standard, and we certainly I mean, I can speak for myself. I fell short of it, and I just apologize to anybody that we've offended with it. It's I can't say much more than that. I'm sorry it happened.
And so, yeah, there's not much I can really add to that at this time. Certainly, Josef Newgarden has stated his side of the story. Certainly emotional, as I would expect you would be in this situation. Certainly, it's going to be up to the court of public opinion, both in the fan base and with his competitors, whether this apology and explanation are accepted. It's certainly a compelling case, but I think it's important as well that IndyCar continues to investigate this issue to make sure that that is indeed a truthful statement. And I think that Josef Newgarden has really proven himself to have some integrity and guts, frankly, to go in front of the media and do it and speak to this situation in the way that he has. It's certainly a respectable way that Josef Newgarden, I think, has handled this situation given the circumstances. So time will tell as this story develops, if anything else comes of it. But at the moment, it's in the court of public opinion, I believe, and certainly the comment section is going to be popping off in this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sure this is going to be a healthy debate, and we'll see you in the next video.